Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So for today's video I wanted to take a look at the Harry Potter books in general and actually work out how much each book made individually. Money videos seem to be the most popular videos in terms of certain characters' finances, the Weasleys in particular, so I thought, well, let's actually see how much each book made. The Harry Potter books are some of the most popular books ever written for children and adults. Before the movies were ever made, there was a huge buzz of the franchise, and after having her work rejected by 12 different publishers, J.K. Rowling finally signed with Bloomsbury Publishing and the book literally became a worldwide overnight sensation. So let's do it guys, let's examine each book, find out how much money it made and if it made more or less than the book before. Now if you want to see how much the movies made, not the books, then make sure to head on over to Movie Flame where my friend Morgan made an incredibly detailed video on the revenue from the movies. Anyway, let's do this. The first book we're going to talk about is, of course, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone for my American friends across the Atlantic. The reason for the name change is that the publishers felt that changing the title to the Sorcerer's Stone was a more simplistic and recognizable approach to attract more readers. It was also decided that JK would no longer have her full name, Joanne Rowling, on the book cover, and instead use JK as there was concerns that a woman's name would not attract the majority of a male audience. I know guys, but 1997 was a very different time in the world. The book has sold an estimated 120 million copies worldwide as of 2021, and if we take the average price of a book being $10 each, whether it be hardback or ebook, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has generated close to, if not more, than $1.2 billion. This is an absolutely staggering figure for the book. Surprisingly, only 500 copies of the first publishment were ordered, and it was through word of mouth that the book got such a boost in popularity. The second publishing, however, was for 50,000 copies, so you can see how much the demand for Harry Potter grew. The book marked the beginning of the phenomenon and Pottermania began. There wasn't much of a wait for the second book as Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was released 1 year later in 1998. The book received widespread critical acclaim and further solidified the Harry Potter series as a cultural phenomenon. It continued to garner praise for Rowling's imaginative storytelling, engaging plot and memorable characters. The second installment certainly didn't disappoint and absolutely flew off the shelves in the UK, Europe and the United States, selling over 77 million copies and generating an estimated $770 million. Obviously not as much as the first book, but still, 77 million copies? That's a #1 bestseller all day, all year as a matter of fact. And it also went on to win British Children's Book of the Year in 1998, not bad for 77 million copies sold. With 2 books in 2 years, J.K. Rowling was on a roll and released the third installment of the Potter franchise a year later in 1999. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban expanded the story further, introducing new characters, and was well received by critics and audiences alike, who praised the series' continued growth in depth, character development and Rowling's ability to balance darker themes with humour and adventure. The book, despite its quality, undersold its predecessor by 10 million copies, selling a total of 66 million copies worldwide and generating an estimated $660 million. The book won several awards, including the Bram Stoker Award for Best Work for Young Readers and the Whitbread Children's Book of the Year 1999. It was the first book to introduce a more cloudy, darker tone as things began to become quite serious for Harry and his friends. 3 books in and the franchise has generated over $2 billion in revenue, and that was without the inclusion of all the merchandise too. Absolutely crazy for 3 years with 3 books. If you thought that 3 books in 3 years was rapid pace, well, JK went about making it 4 for 4. When Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was released 1 year later in the year 2000. You know, that year where all the computers in the world were supposed to crash and civilization was supposed to come to an end? Yeah, that. The Goblet of Fire maintained the Potter rocket's course when it won the 2001 Hugo Award for Best Novel and set a new record for the largest first print run, with 3.8 million copies sold in the United States alone. It also received widespread critical acclaim, with praise for its more complex plot, character development, introduction of a range of new characters, the return of Lord Voldemort to power, and the further exploration of the Wizarding World. It's actually my favourite book and the first Harry Potter book I ever read. The book did not disappoint in sales either, nearly matching its predecessor with an astonishing 65 million copies sold. generating an estimated $665 million in sales. The book is double the length of the previous 3, which also went down extremely well with fans across the world. With the massive on-screen success of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone movie, JK took a short break before beginning the 5th installment of the franchise. She was heavily involved with the on-screen production of the movie series, including the casting process, and it wasn't until 2003 that Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix made it into her hands. I'll never forget watching the news of hundreds of people queuing at 12 AM outside bookstores and 24-hour shopping malls in order to get their copy of the book. As for the book's success, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix was highly anticipated, judging from what I just mentioned, with a string of rumours that a big character was going to be killed off, leading to record-breaking sales upon its release. It sold approximately 5 million copies within the first 24 hours of release in the United States and the United Kingdom. That is absolutely mind-blowing, and the overall sales of the book did not disappoint. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix sold a whopping 55 million copies worldwide, generating an estimated $555 million, bringing the total income for the franchise book sales close to $4 billion. J.K. Rowling also became the first author to become a billionaire due to the books and movies' success. As you can see guys, the Order of the Phoenix really solidified just how much hype surrounded this franchise, and it didn't stop there. As the movies continued to hit the screen, the books continued too. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was released 2 years later in July 2005 and eclipsed its predecessor in the first 24 hours of sales, selling a total of 9 million copies. 9 million copies in 24 hours, setting another record for the fastest book sales in that amount of time. The book once again was surrounded by a massive hype as another death was on the cards, this time Albus Dumbledore, which left thousands of fans in tears, reading his final moments but not understanding why the headmaster had to die. The book received massive critical acclaim, with Rowling once again praised for being able to link the 6 books together so well, while still providing fresh content. Sales of the book hit a staggering 65 million copies, the first book to actually beat its predecessor, and generated $660 million in sales. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince completed the transition from a boy entering a magical world of spells and wizards to a darker, sadder tone, something JK was aiming for. As she stated many times, Harry Potter is a sad story. The book went on to win the British Book of the Year award in 2006 among a number of additional accolades. It was just another 2-year wait for the final installment of the Harry Potter book franchise, which became available in July 2007 and marked a close to 10 years for The Boy Who Lived, on paper anyway, as the movies continued to prosper. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was the most anticipated book of them all, and would finally answer the questions that were left unanswered and finally tie the story together for reader satisfaction. It smashed the previous record for the 9 million sales in the first 24 hours by reeling in, get this, 15 million copies in the first 24 hours. I thought 9 million was off the chart, but 15 million copies of a book sold within the first day is just mesmerizing, and the book sold a total of 50 million copies, generating a total of $500 million worldwide. So that's close to $5 billion in total sales over a 10-year span for Harry Potter, and that is something nobody had ever seen. The final chapters of the book were finished in a city that inspired the architecture and certain characters too, Edinburgh. The room in which the book was finished in the Balmoral Hotel can still be stayed in today, but it will cost you over £1,500 for a night in order to do so. There you have it everyone, that is how much each Harry Potter book made, and also a little bit about the success of each book. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was pretty fun researching and piecing everything together. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to look out for the next video.